Welcome. I am here with Alathea Hankins, who is Vice President of Operations at CommonDesk, which is now a WeWork company. Good to see you this morning, although it's lunchtime for you.
Yeah, just right at noon. So yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
Which location are you in?
I'm at our Continental Gin building. So it's in Deep Ellum in Dallas. It's one of two locations we have in Deep Ellum.
Perfect. It looks cloudy outside.
Yeah, it's rainy and cloudy and kind of cold. Cold for Dallas.
So, yeah, totally. Yeah. It was 43 here this morning, which is kind of cold for us. I was like, ooh,
yeah. Yes, that's
I think sweater weather.
Yes, absolutely. We had a big cold front come in over the weekend. So last week it was like 70s, 80s, and now I think our highs are in the 50s.
So we were supposed to see that location when we were in town for the conference.
Yes. Yeah, and you guys are gonna have a happy hour, right?
We ran late and had to go straight to dinner because there was a ton of traffic. It took us an hour to get to dinner.
Absolutely. You're coming from Plano or the north,
also
right?
were late. I'm trying to remember why we were so late. Something happened and we were late. Yeah, I was really surprised. And wait, have you been to the place that we went to with Nick? I don't even know what it was
Cry
called.
Wolf, right?
Yeah. It's like a hole in the
I've
wall.
Never been.
Dominoes.
Yeah, I have never been, but I know he loves that place. So I heard you guys had a great time.
We did have a great time. Although all the way there, I was kind of like, I think we should turn around. There's so much traffic. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, the traffic like,
it's totally fine. It is my favorite place. And I really wanted to share it with you guys.
Yeah, I think he says it's like his top restaurant in America.
Yes, like, well, that's what he said.
Okay. You know, I don't know what your scale is, but
I know. We'll be there. Okay, tell us a little bit about you. So do you live nearby Deep Ellum?
Yeah, I do. So I live in a neighborhood called Oak Cliff, which is probably like 10-15 minutes south of our Deep Ellum location. I lived in Oak Cliff for like the last 5 years or so, moved to Texas in 2016. Usually I'm originally from the Northeast, but moved here with my husband in 2016 and started working at CommonDesk almost immediately. So
I should have realized no Dallas accent.
No Dallas, no accent really. I grew up military, so lived all over the place, including Germany in high school. So I went to 4 different high schools. Yeah, moved around a bunch.
Okay. Are you in Dallas? Are you Dallas for life?
I think so. We really, really like it here. And my husband and I have been thinking a lot about this because he's from North Carolina. I'm kind of from everywhere. But we did our undergrad in North Carolina. And so it's like, will we move home? Won't we? That's, I feel like, the will we, won't we of our life right now. But Dallas, we've created such a great community here and the people here are so nice. I think it would just be really hard to replicate that. I've moved a ton, so I know that you can. There's like life after the move. I know that. But I think that what we have here is just so unique with our friends and our jobs. We're really happy here. So probably.
Great city.
It is. It really is. It has so much to offer. It has like all of the feel of a big city that you would get from some of like the larger cities in the Northeast, but still some of the like hometown feel of a smaller one.
Wait, do you ever listen to Freakonomics?
I do listen, not all the time. So I can't say like.
I can't remember we talk about this because I was on a kick about this for a while, but they did a 2-part episode on why Dallas is growing so quickly.
Oh, really? I need to listen to that.
So, if I was going to say, if you like it, you would enjoy those 2 episodes. It was, I don't think they've ever done a 2-parter.
Yeah.
But
I was a big podcast. Like I think I go through spurts with podcasts, where I'm like, all I'm doing is listening to podcasts. And so I'm listening to so many, and then I take 3 months off and I'm just listening to music. So I'm coming back. Mary Catherine, one of my coworkers, and I were just talking about that. She listens to the Daily every morning. And so usually when I'm in my podcast realm, her and I talk about that.
So, okay, the Daily, what else? What's another favorite?
Oh, love This American Life. I mean, I just feel like you just can't, the stories, I just love a good story. Listen to a lot of Brené Brown. So I think it's Unlocking Us, and then Dare to Lead. To listen to those, and then just random other ones.
Podcasts or books?
Podcasts.
Oh, okay.
She has a podcast that comes out on her Dare to Lead series. It's every, I think, Monday that comes out. So I've been listening to a lot of her stuff.
I never listened to her much, but she was on Glennon Doyle's podcast.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you follow her. She was, and they were
No, I
so
don't, but
funny. I was
I
like,
bet.
oh my God, this woman is hilarious.
She is. She's really fun. And we've read her books through CommonDesk. And so I'm just a huge Brené Brown fan. So
Wait, do you have a book club?
we do have a book club. I would say that right now it's a mix of everyone's just reading whatever book they want, and then you just talk about it on Thursdays.
Okay.
It has been very hard to rein people in to read the same book. So right now, we just encourage reading, and then we have like an hour every Thursday where you can just talk about whatever book you are reading and recommend it. And
Okay.
it's a very interesting approach to a book club, but we tried reading one book that everyone was reading, just wasn't working for us.
This is total like common desk culture. Your
Yeah,
guys
exactly.
making it work for you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly who we are. It's like, well, we'll do like kind of the book club concept, but we'll just put our own rules around it where you read whatever you want and you can just talk about it in front of everyone.
Totally. I kind of like it because I'm always looking for like, what's the next thing? You know, Mara Hauser. Mara was in a book club.
Yes.
So she would always send me her list and then I'd, go look through the list, and she's taking a break from her book club. And I was like, Mara, how am I going to get a reading list? So that would be perfect.
What's your favorite type of books to read?
I mean, I read a lot of like business books. But I also love, who's the author? I can't remember. The one who writes about like, Kristen Hanna, I think is her name.
Okay.
Kristen. I probably got that slightly wrong. I don't know. I like a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I love to read.
Me too.
Absolutely. And I love to just get lost in a book. But the problem is if I'm like, I will get lost in a book and like stay up too late and
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. I love getting lost in like the fiction of it. It's like a nice escape. My husband loves TV, so we watch a lot of shows together, but they're always like critically acclaimed, and like books are just my time for just me, So.
Yeah, and whatever you feel like. I was gonna say I will read smart books and then I will read like just like beach ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Literally, I think there's a book called Beach Read, and it was great. I read it this summer and it was so cute.
That's too funny. Okay, and it's just you and your husband. Any pets?
Yes, we have a dog, Jones. He's an Aussie Lab mix. We adopted him right after we moved here, so in October, the same month that I started working at CommonDesk. He's funny. He's really quirky, kind of weird.
It's dog should
but
be.
We love him. Yeah.
Okay. Can I tell you a quick funny story about my dog? So I have two dogs.
Yeah.
One is 7 and one is a 6-month-old. So yesterday morning.
Oh, you have a puppy?
Yeah. She's crazy. Her name is Charlie without an E. And she is, puppy phase. So she's totally nuts all the time.
Yeah.
And she barks at Louis. She wants him to play. She's a lot of work, and I have to hide in the house from her because it's noisy. Anyway, so yesterday was Sunday. I took them for a long walk in the morning to like tire them out. And then I went for a walk with a friend of mine. And then I came back and I had to catch up on like some work and whatnot. And it was like 1:00. I had taken them for a walk early. So I was done by, it was like 1:00. And I was like, where is Charlie? Like all of a sudden I realized she's been really quiet, which never happens. And my husband had left the house. And so it was just my daughter and I. And so we find her on her bed and she had peed on her bed wouldn't get up. And so the end of the story is totally fine. But I was very anxious because we lost a dog in 2021. And I was like, something's very wrong with her. Like she couldn't walk straight. She was like, and she'd been sleeping. So I freaked out and like emergency vet. So we get in the car, go to the vet. I left my daughter at home. She had to go to a gymnastics thing. Anyway, I think there's something seriously wrong. The vet calls me like 5 minutes later and she's like, we think Charlie had some marijuana this morning.
I
know. They give me the whole, like, is there any in the house? No, there's none in the house. I'm like, I live in this really quiet neighborhood. Like I can't really. And she was like, classic symptoms. She's going to be fine. She like needs to sleep.
That's crazy, because I was in Raleigh last week, visiting our location there and then also visiting a friend, and her mom's dog had something similar where she was like, took her, she had passed out. She had gone to the bathroom in the house. She was like, something is wrong.
Right.
Took her to the vet and the vet was like, this is classic case of marijuana
It's
consumption.
like,
by a
it
dog.
was so, she was so confident. I was like, this must happen all the time. This is so, and
Yeah.
$400 vet visit later.
Oh,
She's like, she's fine. And she is totally fine today. And I was
yeah.
like, I texted my husband. I was like, maybe we should consider like some puppy edibles or
Yeah. I think they
totally
have those.
kidding for all the pet lovers. But I was like, I kind of miss chill Charlie because she's back to her normal
She was
crazy
just
self
asleep.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, she eats everything when we walk. So she must have like,
Yeah, she found something on the street.
yeah. And she said, it can be very dangerous for them if they eat a lot of it. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Oh man, that's funny. That's crazy. That's the second one I've heard of in the last week. So
Right.
everyone,
Yeah.
if you do have edibles, hide them because
Totally.
it sounds like the
It's just
dogs are
like,
going to get
I
to
was
them.
like, maybe the park, like I can't really, somebody must have just dropped something like
Yeah.
walking around. I don't know.
Yeah. It's
Anyway.
crazy.
Okay. So tell us about you and your role at CommonDesk. So I want to hear what you're doing now, but also you started as a community manager and 6
I
years
did.
ago, and nobody
Yeah.
stays in co-working for 6 years.
I know.
Like, so interesting.
I know.
Tell us, like, what did you do before co-working? How did you find CommonDesk? And
Absolutely. Yeah. So my undergrad, my degree is in integrated marketing communication. So I spent the first 4 years out of school focused on marketing. I worked for a church, I worked for a PR firm, I worked for a startup. And actually in the startup role in DC, that was my first time being introduced to co-working. We worked out of a co-working space called 1776.
Oh, yeah.
If you're familiar with, yeah. So I'd seen them on Twitter and like looked up what co-working was. They were opening their very first location in DC. And I had told my boss, I was like, please, like, I think we should sign up. And so I like ran to DC and like gave our check to be like, we're going to be a founding member, like a shared member, but it felt so legit at the time. But I was so excited. It was really fun. So worked there. And that was my first introduction into co-working. And then my husband and I, we dated all through college and then did 4 years of long distance while he was in med school and I lived in DC.
Wow.
And then he is a physician. So we matched in Dallas for residency and moved down here. And I had loved my job, but wasn't sure what I wanted to do next. And it was really when like social media was really on the rise. It's like 2012. So Instagram was becoming a thing. And I had started to do a lot of social media management and just realized that was not the life I wanted. I didn't want to live like in a, persona behind a screen. I really wanted to be in person. And I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do long-term as like marketing kind of evolved that way. So looked for jobs and saw CommonDesk, like you do when you move to a new city, you know nothing. I went to a bunch of coffee shops and we had this Wi-Fi campaign at the time where CommonDesk sponsored all the Wi-Fi. Yeah. Of all the local coffee shops.
So
It's like
scrappy and creative.
Yeah, so scrappy. And so
yeah.
I felt like it was just everywhere. It's like everywhere I would go, I'd be like, I'm gonna go try this coffee shop, go try that. I didn't know anyone. And just CommonDesk was just like CommonDesk. I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh,
brainwashing you.
Yeah. I was like, oh, co-working, that's so fun. Maybe if I get a remote job or something like that, I can work from there. And then I thought as I was just like continuing to evolve, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna see if they have anything available. So I called them like, hey, do you guys, I'm in marketing. Are you guys hiring? And they said, no, but you can send us your resume. And you know how that is when you're looking for a job. You're like, all right, cool.
Thanks,
so it's just going to
file it.
Yeah. I'm like in the black hole of wherever resumes go.
Yeah.
And so I didn't at the time. And then like 3 days later, I was still thinking about it and was just like, well, if I don't send my resume in, then that's on me. So I decided to send it in. They called me back within like a day and actually invited me in for an interview. And the only thing they had available was like a part-time job as an assistant community manager for our Oak Cliff location. And a classic Nick, actually, he made me take the role without knowing what location I was going to get because he didn't want someone who cared more about the location. He wanted someone who like really cared about the job. So it was between our Plano location we were about to open and our Oak Cliff location. And I took it because I just felt like I loved it. I've like came in for my interview. I had 6 interviews for a part-time assistant community manager role. Yes, 6 interviews. I had a happy hour. They made me go to a member event where I had to like work the event essentially to see like, can she hang with members? So did that. And I just loved it. It was so fun. I knew I really wanted to be here. So started the job in Oak Cliff and have had so many roles since then. Was assistant community manager, then community manager. Then I was our director of operations. Then I went into this weird phase where I just kind of was any new role we needed, right? So
Whatever
like,
needed to get done.
yeah, I think Nick tried to name it like special ops is what he wanted to call me, like director of special
You're
ops.
like a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm just like imagining you like dropping in from the ceiling. I'm like, okay, I don't think that's gonna like really work outside of this environment. I'd love a title that works beyond
Right.
this. But I got to launch our first market outside of Dallas. So we acquired Link Coworking from Liz
Yep.
Elam. And so got to work with her in Stormy, which was wonderful. And just like a huge learning experience of like what they had created in Austin was so successful. And we got to like take that and build on that. And that was like the foundation of our Austin market. And then got to just start like evolving all of our processes. And I think that's really been my main job over time. I've had this role since 2019, August or October of 2019 is when I got VP of operations, probably way before I deserved a vice president title, but I feel like I've grown into that now. So now I oversee all of our co-working, all of our coffee, people and culture, marketing, anything related to operations. Nick and I have divided out the company really related to like growth and development, which he leads, and anything related to like our sustainable operations of our business, that's what I lead.
Isn't it interesting how you never know? Like,
Yeah.
you never knew when you turned in your resume that 6 years later, you're like going through 6 interviews to get to be a part-time assistant community manager. And now you're the VP of ops. And
Yes.
now you're part of WeWork. It's like,
yes,
never know.
absolutely.
It's so interesting. I have a good friend who just got laid off from Facebook, and she,
Mm,
along with 11,000 other
yeah,
people,
a lot of people.
but she's, she's really like struggling. And I was just like, you never know. Like you didn't know when you started there, like, yeah. So
yeah, exactly. No, I think about that a lot. Feel really lucky with my career growth at CommonDesk, and just lucky that I think the opportunities I've been presented, especially like at the time I came in, I was employee number 7 or 8, and now we have 100 something, which is still small, but feels so big. And I feel really thankful that I got to be a part of that growth story for CommonDesk.
So do you handle hiring now?
I do, but we have a wonderful person, Mary Catherine Hughes. She's in charge
She's
of our
also
people
been
and
there
culture.
for a long time. Is that right?
She's been there for almost 5 years now. So yeah,
Okay.
she's been there for a long time. And she started as a community manager. I'm actually all the people that are on my team. So I, our head of people and culture, our directors of community, the person who heads up launch, marketing is probably only one, but the rest of us all started as community managers, which I think really shows like how serious we take that role, because being a community manager, like, I mean, those are the all-stars, the people, that's why members are signing up, right? Like we can design beautiful spaces and that's definitely part of it, but they stay and build community because of our teams. And so I love that most of the people who are making decisions around who we want to be and like the rules we put into place all started at the location level, which is really cool and neat. But she's the one, Mary Catherine, she's the one who oversees all of our people. Yeah.
So does everyone still go through 6 interviews to get hired?
We do not. We do not do that, but they go through a lot. Yeah, they definitely go through a lot of interviews because that's the most important thing. The wrong hire can really set you back. Even if if they're great people, just not a right fit for us, or we're not the right fit for them. So we take hiring very seriously. So we have Mary Catherine's done an amazing job of just building out like the pipeline and what that looks like. And one of the best things through WeWork is we've been able to use like a lot of their processes and things that they've learned over the years to help just make what I think we're naturally gifted at even better.
Yeah. I would say from an outsider's perspective, that's one of the you have such a unique culture, which came up at the conference. Nick was on the culture panel and the tattoos and
yes, I know the tattoos.
Things.
Everyone knows about that.
But it's part of your brand, right? It's part of who you are, which makes you so unique. And I think maybe the 6 interviews kind of laid the foundation, because you and Mary Catherine, like, he worked hard to find those people and to vet you. And now, 6 years or 5 years later, you're still here and contributing to the company. So, well, what's your favorite part about your role today?
That's a tough question. I love so many parts of it, which is the wonderful thing about being here for so long, is you kind of move up and the roles are what you make them, right? But my favorite part is the fact that I think I get to develop so many young people. What I'm best at and what I really enjoy the most is coaching and leading. And so the fact that I get to watch so many people have like their first wins in a role, especially because we hire pretty young people fresh out of school, and like watching them grow and develop and learn, it's so exciting. And so I love seeing that and celebrating with them when like they learn how to sign up a member, or they close their first deal, or they have their very first hard conversation with their employee because they're 22 and had never led anyone before, obviously. So I love that I get to be a part of that and help coach them and develop them. So hopefully they can be, better employees, better people, and whatever they have coming after CommonDesk.
How do you think, what is it about your experience that helped you to develop those skills?
Yeah. I think Nick has a big role in that. Nick gave me a lot of opportunities at a young age, and he provided a really safe place for me to try a lot of new things and fail. And I think showed me what it looks like to have a partner and a boss that would say, like, go try it. And if you mess up, like, I'll be there waiting for you to like clean up the messes, right? Like, it's going to be okay, but I'd rather you go try. And so I think that was like so foundational when I was a community manager, that as I've got to build this company with him, that's like how I lead and how we coach, of like, it's a safe place to mess up. And I think that a lot of our success comes from that.
It's really interesting because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs and smaller companies, like there's no time to mess up.
Right.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you just get on that. And I know you guys work hard and you're growing quickly. And, with the WeWork partnership, there's a lot of, maybe pressure to keep going on locations. And so I could see it, not intentionally sort of losing that commitment to like letting people. So I love that you're hanging on to that. I love that Nick had it and that you guys are like holding it, because also hiring folks who it's their first job or maybe their second job is a lot of work, because you're training them like how to work versus taking someone from a big company who already kind of knows all those things. I always warn folks who are hiring community managers, like, it probably shouldn't be their first job because that's so much work for you, right? So you have to be like really passionate. It clearly like fills your cup.
Yes. Yeah, you do. You have to. I think CommonDesk is a place that celebrates people's wins and their failures, which is unique. And I think it's in line with a lot of our values, but one of our values is keep it real. And I think you own up to it, right? So when you make a bad call, that happens. We're human, right? Like not every call you make, whether you're experienced or inexperienced, is going to be good. Right. And so I think creating that foundation for people to like celebrate both, of like, you tried something and didn't work, not a big deal. That's not embarrassing. That just means you're trying and you're human. I think it provides people a lot of autonomy and hopefully skills that they'll take to their next job, because they won't be afraid of messing up.
What does the interaction look like across locations? Like, is there, kind of an all hands or weekly? How do people sort of share what they've learned?
Absolutely. We have Slack I think everyone uses Slack, right? But like that is definitely where our community teams communicate a lot on there, sharing best practices. And especially we try to create communities. I think anyone who knows, when you have lots of different locations and your location teams have to be physically in their location, it can be hard to share best practices or see each other because you're spread out. So Slack has been a really pivotal part of our culture, and sharing practices around how you run a space, or, hey, I came up, like, this is something that's an issue for me. Can someone call me real quick so I can talk you through this? Our teams really rely on that. And then we do have a weekly all staff. So Mary Catherine and Nick host a weekly all staff where we do a bunch of different things, but share values. Nick, we do an Ask Me Anything with Nick. So people will ask him literally anything. And I mean, they'll be like, what's your favorite holiday tradition? Or, what do you hate about your job? Like, they'll ask him all this stuff. But I think that like allows people to feel really connected. And we do DayMaker shout outs on there, which I think Nick I think he talked about that in his culture chat at the conference. But, if you like basically catch someone living out our values is really like the concept of DayMaker. And so, you can submit like, hey, this person really showed up for me this week. I had a project that I was going to, not be able to meet my deadline, and they came and helped me do it. So we'll do that. And I think that allows people to stay connected, to like see what everyone is up to, and just be able to feel like you're a part of something, even if you're not actually in the physical space with each other.
Wait, can you talk about the DayMaker concept for a minute for
Yeah.
anybody who wasn't, at the
Yeah.
conference?
Yeah, absolutely. So DayMaker, it's really around like we exist to make days better. That's what we do for our members. And we want to do that with inside office space. So you'll see most of our products, if it doesn't align with that, then we're not going to be doing it. But it's become a huge part of who we are. So being a day maker is, I feel like, an ethos that you live out. And that's like how you show up for work. It's how you show up for your customers. It's how you show up for your teammates. And so we have hats, we have swag. We have some people who have tattoos, but I won't go into too much detail.
What happens in the tattoo parlor stays in the tattoo parlor.
Yeah. Yes.
So
yes.
do your members know about this, or is it like a behind the scenes
The DayMaker concept?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, actually. I don't know if they would know like we exist to make days better, but I think from our member surveys, they know that like that is a part of who we are. So I think the most common feedback, they can feel it. The most common feedback that we see in our member surveys, which we do quarterly, is just around our teams and how much the community teams impact those members on a day-to-day. And I think maybe they don't call them day makers, but I do believe that that's exactly what they're doing.
So I'm going to give you a book recommendation.
Yeah.
I've been going to talk about it on the podcast, but I have to read it. I listened to it. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality. Have you heard about this book yet?
I have not.
Will Guidara? I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. So he was a restaurant guy. He started with Danny Meyer in New York, and Danny Meyer is like big, hospitality. And it's like kind of a similar ethos. I'm trying to remember the name of the restaurant. 11 Madison something. Anyway, they put this person on staff whose like job it was to do like ridiculous things for guests. Like if somebody came in and was like, "Oh, we're from out of town and it's our first snowfall ever and the kids are, at the hotel or whatever." They would, this was one example he gave, they would run out and buy sleds and then like drive them to Central Park and give them like a sledding party. And they did this a few times and they were like, we want this to be a thing. Like, and I keep thinking, I like love the book. The book was so inspiring. And I keep thinking about like, how do those concepts flow through to workspace? Because it's not the same as the, mindset you're in when you go out to, this is like fine dining, really high end dining, it's not the same, but what could it look like? And so the DayMaker concept is, I just think so current and relevant,
Absolutely. And it reminds me of this book. I read something probably similar, The Nordstrom Way. I read that over the summer, which is all about Nordstrom and like who they are and how like just valuing the customer. And I think so many people, even as they get higher up, like I think that was like a gut check for me of I haven't been on the community team in 5 years. So it's been quite some time, but like, the managers and even like the Nordstrom family will go in and talk to their customers. And so like making sure that we don't lose that as you grow, like I never lose sight of why I'm here. I'm here to like make days better. Yes, for our staff, but also for our members. And member experience isn't just on location teams to deliver, like it's on everyone. And if you live that out as the leader, then people will continue to do that. So my team and we did like a little cookie event where we went around to everyone's office and like introduced ourselves and just, I want to make sure that people know who I am. And that like if they're having an issue, they can come to me too. So
yeah, I think that's I think it's super meaningful. In the book, he used this rule called 95-5. And he talked about, he's running a business, so he can't just do ridiculous things all the time. So his approach is 95% of the time he's like on budget. But he allocates 5% of his budget to just be like ridiculous. Like he could spend it any stupid way, to make customers happy or his team happy, and I kind of love that concept. It's a little bit, like your cookies, like 95% of the time you're like doing, what you need to do. 5% of the time you're going to like take time out and go, just do something that's meaningful.
Yeah. And I think it can apply to like the thing I'm thinking of right now is we had a day porter at our Richardson location and it was their birthday and like the community team and the members there threw a birthday party for her and like sang her happy birthday and got her a cake. And it's like the members were part of that experience. So I do think it's like a part of it, just like making people feel special. You want to feel known wherever, especially if you're coming into work. Work, you spend so much of your life at work. And if they're going to choose CommonDesk to do that, I want to make sure that everyone who comes in like feels that love. And I think our community teams really show that.
I'm curious, has your membership changed post-COVID? Like this may vary by location a lot, but yeah, what does your membership look like? Who tends to join a CommonDesk?
Absolutely. It changes by location, by market, totally. Downtown, we have both downtown locations and suburban locations. And I think the biggest change has just been so many remote workers. So people who used to go into an office, but now their entire team is remote. I think that's like the biggest thing. So like learning how to create a culture for those people, I think has been a big shift, because it's not just like either like a one-person office or just like the average, like a shared desk member who, owns their own business. It's a ton of people who work for larger organizations, but are going to be remote and coming into CommonDesk. And so learning how to help them feel that like part of the community. I think that's been the biggest shift I've seen. And then we have lots of large teams too. So, people who decided they're no longer doing traditional office space and they're coming in and, taking a 50-person suite with us. We've definitely seen an uptick in that.
Yeah. What does it look like to sort of fold them into the culture? Like, how do you onboard them into like the CommonDesk way?
I mean, I think that's something I'm not even sure we're totally getting right, and something that I would hope we continue to evolve in. But I think it's making sure that there's so many touch points and you're guiding them through that process, and that the community teams, that we never get big enough where like someone could come join our space and not be known. So if you only have 2 location staff at that location and there's 500 members, there's going to be people who do not feel known in that. And so making sure your staffing allocation is correct, but still fits within the business model, and make sure the onboarding process and that you're soliciting feedback and you're trying to check in with them. But I think that's an area that I want us to continue to like really focus on and make sure that no one is coming into our fold and then leaving and never really feeling known in that process.
Yeah, it's a really interesting challenge. There's I don't know what you want to call it, a theory. It's called Dunbar's number, that you can only like really know 150 people. So to your point, if you're applying that, you have to like be really intentional or have the right systems, and you have to like systematize having people feel known. And how do you do that? And how do you divide your team, maybe almost? Yeah, it's a lot to figure out. It's like a good problem to have. I think this is one of those things co-working spaces have been waiting for, right? Like that demand boom, but it's such a different, it's like the onesie twosies almost like work harder to make themselves known, because that's part of what they're there for.
Yep.
So
exactly. Yeah. And we're definitely, this is a new era for CommonDesk. We've seen a lot of growth, especially in the last year. I was just doing some of our numbers where, our membership revenue has grown 62% from Q3 last year to Q3 this year. Wild. And so, amazing. Yeah. That's so many new members, that's so many new people. And, we also have so many new staff that you're training. And so I think it just makes, you have to be really intentional. If you're having that many people come into the fold, all those community members are learning how to service that many people, especially that's a year is a short amount of time to adjust your processes and make sure you're ready for that influx of people. So making sure that our leadership team's always thinking about that we're constantly being a part of the conversation and thinking about what it's like to be on the front lines. Like you just can't lose sight of what it's like to be on the front lines for the community teams, or the members will feel it.
I'm curious, you mentioned that you are in charge of coffee. So what is the coffee, because you have your own brand. Can you just talk about how it's interesting, it's unique. How does that fit into the business model? Yeah,
absolutely. So we have our very first one that we bought in 2017. It was called Method Coffee. It's now Fiction. We rebranded, and it's like a just retail coffee shop. It's in Nick's neighborhood. So I think that was part of the draw, but that's probably going to be the only one that is like a traditional retail. But I think our CGB location, so the one I'm in right now, I think is like really showcases how you can use it. And the first floor of this building is Fiction Coffee. The second floor is Coworking, and the third floor are like large tenant suites. Okay. So it's the first time we've ever like fully integrated all of our products. And I would say like we did this, it opened in March of 2021. We didn't get it exactly right then, but I think we've used the last like 12 months, 16 months or so to like really evolve that. And so I think fiction at its best is like an introduction into the CommonDesk brand. And so hopefully for people who are coming in and looking for just a coffee offering at Fiction, you can come in and experience a little bit of who CommonDesk is. And, again, we exist to make days better within an office space.
Yep.
And Fiction is a great way for us to do that. So we can do that. We can put fictions inside really any office building and make sure that people are feeling that welcoming, that people feel known, that you come in, order your drink. And if you're a regular, like they're going to be like, hey, it's nice to see you again. And they'll know your name.
Is it designed to be a source of profit, or is it a building amenity?
Yeah, I think it can be both. And that's
Okay.
actually one of the things that we are looking at right now of like, what is the next phase of Fiction? So Fiction has, I think we've used it as amenity in the past, but we're starting to think about what that could look like to further integrate it into our product. And so honestly, TBD on what that looks like, but we are trying a lot of different things with Fiction, because I think that's one of the areas that we can still evolve into. And so like further integrating it into our co-working spaces, like what would it look like to have almost like a lounge concept? So having, a Fiction coffee, but then in the back is your co-working space. Or right now it's like a little welcome in the beginning. And now we're trying to make it more integrated. We'll see.
So, remind me, I feel like there was a period of time where the community managers were also baristas. Did you have coffee is that a phase that you moved on from, or?
No,
I
so
love
we
that
do.
idea,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Craft coffee is definitely a part of who we are. So each of our locations, even if they don't have a full like Fiction coffee, they have like what I would call like a mini Fiction at their hospitality bar, which is what we would call like our front desk area. So there's usually like an espresso machine, and all of our people are trained on how to pull a shot. That is part of your onboarding. So that is part of the experience, because I think craft coffee is one of the amenities that we offer to people, but I think it also just makes you feel good. Like there's just something about a cup of coffee that I think can really brighten people's day. So our teams are fully trained on that. Are they full baristas? No, but we partner with Counterculture Coffee. They have a wonderful training program, and we put all of our people through that.
Oh, that's really cool.
Including me. I tried.
Okay.
I'm not very good.
Latte art.
Like, no, you do not want me to make it. I was not very good, but I did go through the training.
It's funny. I do think there's a big skill. There was it wasn't a co-working space, but they had a shared kitchen and they had a cafe in the front, and they would make the most amazing cappuccinos. And I would always stand next to the barista and be like, could you just show me one more time how you're foaming that milk? Because I can't repeat it at home.
I know our baristas are really good at our actual Fiction coffee shops. Like I think we have some of the best baristas. But I think what I really love even about like where we're moving and how, kind of go back to our earlier conversation around hiring people who are young. I got this from the Nordstrom way, but they say to hire the smile and train the skill. And I think that's what we do at both sides. Like even when it comes to coffee, we can spend a lot of time training them on how to do a perfect cup of coffee, but you can't teach someone to care about someone else. And so I think really a big ethos of who we are is hiring the smile, training the skill.
Yeah. So I also remember Nick mentioning, I love like I think this is a cultural thing, not just Nick, like experimenting, like, okay, we're going to try this. We're gonna, and I think that's one of the maybe joys of having a scaled business is you can experiment with things and see how things work. Not just at one or two locations, but kind of. So for a while he was using like a personality test for new hires.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
We do still use that.
Okay.
Yeah. We do still use that Culture Index.
Yeah. Can you like just say a couple words about that? I think that's really
absolutely. I think I don't know a ton of details, so Mary Catherine probably is better. I'll have to refresh exactly how we use it. But I know that it's in the interview process. And I think really what it helps is see around the team dynamic. I think that's how we've utilized it the most, is understanding how this person who's coming in and their natural tendencies, because like any personality test is, it's not exactly who that person is going to be, right? Like there's variations in people. There's a human element to it, but it can show you what their natural tendencies are and how that could work with the group. So if you have a group that is very, not autonomous, or just people who like really like to do like, this is how we do it, here's our processes, and you're hiring someone who wants to like change everything, it's probably not the right fit for that particular group, right? Because that's not how it's set up. But I think we use it both. Like there's been times where like technically on paper it said this person wasn't the right fit, and then you hire them, you see them, you're like, absolutely they are.
Yeah,
So
totally right.
like we're,
It's a tool,
it's
not
a tool,
yeah.
not a rule. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So how many locations were there when you joined the company?
There were two.
Two.
There were two.
And now you have
23.
Yeah. So, I mean, can you talk a little bit about what it's been like to scale and from your kind of hat of systems and processes and
absolutely. Yes. So 2 to 23, big jump. And I think that's where you have to really be able to embrace change. If you're going to work at a company that is scaling, you have to be able and like have no pride associated with the systems you create, especially like for
the
me.
way
It's
we
like,
used to do things.
it's very humbling, especially like in this position. Like the systems that we had, all of them I've basically had a hand in creating. And then you look back and you're like, oh God, I can't believe that was what I said we should do. Like that was a terrible idea. And
so
owning up to it.
No
and
ego. Like, okay.
Yeah, no ego.
Anymore. Moving on. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're going to scale and going to really get things right, I think you have to have people who do not hold on to the old in a way that like their work is like so tied to who they are. You have to be able to say like that worked for the time, but we've got to move on. We've got to find something else. And you have to really be able, I think, to kind of see the train wreck before it's happening. I think where earlier me wasn't as good as like catching it of like, I would have to change the system once we were already in a bind, right? And now I've been really trying to work on seeing it ahead and be like, okay, I need to start working on changing the system now, because in 6 months from now, we're not going to be like, the system won't work for us anymore. And helping people get adjusted to that, leading a company through that many changes, like all of a sudden you're just like doubling in like in teams and members. Change is hard no matter what. There's so many books on change management, and even little changes are hard for people. And so learning how to get people bought into that and coach them, and also like giving them the space to mourn that, especially because sometimes they liked that system. Right? They don't want to do your new system. You're like, I hear that. And today we can be sad that we're no longer using that creamer station, but tomorrow we're using the new creamer. So it's okay.
I think that's another, aspect that's challenging about scale is you have to, again, back to sort of the patience of like, recognize, I love change. Like I look for it, and having the patience, knowing that most humans don't, to your point, and being patient with that and being willing to kind of work through it and not, right. Just go along with them at their own pace, but nudge when needed. Can be really challenging. And your role is so, I mean, Nick may be a little bit like that too. I feel like I wouldn't be. I'd be the person who needs the Alaethea to kind of move everybody through those phases, because
he's definitely someone who's like, let's just rip off the Band-Aid. And I'm like,
we gotta go now.
I'm like, he's like, let's change it, no big deal. And I'm like, I agree, it is no big deal. However, not everyone's going to see it that way. And so you have to think about, like in any change management, you think about all your different stakeholders, you think about how they're going to react, and then you like make a plan for it. And just knowing, and people bring so much with them into work, so you never know how someone's going to, you change the creamer station, for example, and for whatever reason, that's it. Like that is what broke that person that day. And understanding that it's really not about the creamer, and usually a lot around the change, it's not about the change. It's like what it represents, and allowing people to feel those feelings while also not letting those feelings like make you second guess your decision, especially if you know it's the right one.
Yeah. So you got an MBA in the last year.
Yes. In May, I graduated in May.
Has it helped you in your role, or like?
Absolutely. Hands down. I'm so glad I got my MBA.
Now you're glad. I think now that you're not working.
Yes, now I'm glad. When I was
at night.
Yes. Working full time, because, especially that last year, I graduated in May, but I mean, we had COVID during most of that time. So I started in August of 2020. So we were still in the midst of COVID. And then 2 years, the past 2 years within the flex space has been pretty insane. Wow. And then you add in an acquisition on top of that, where we got acquired by WeWork in March. And it was a very crazy time, but I'm really thankful that I did that. I'm thankful that my my family pushed me towards it, that Nick pushed me towards it, my coworkers, they were so supportive of me doing this. I don't think I would be able to stay in this role if I wouldn't have gotten my MBA, because it just really illuminated so many different things. Just learned so much, especially around finance. I did not have a background in this. Obviously, like I said, I was in marketing. Then I started as a community manager, and I understood, okay on budgets. I was okay on them, but like really learning to like look at the business as a whole and make decisions around that, how they all work together. I think it helped me become better about thinking about how landlords think about our management agreements. And just like really, I think, rounded out my experience of what it meant to like be a community manager, but like tag on some business acumen onto that. So I think CommonDesk would have outgrown my skill set had I not invested in my education. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, it's so clear that you have exceptional like soft skills.
Oh, thanks.
So that's not, I also have an MBA, and from a school that's not known for their soft skills.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that combination is pretty unique, like sort of that athlete, like you can do both sides now. So don't underestimate, because all the things I'm hearing you talk about, are not really like P&L based, right? They're so critical to the phases that you've gone through. So I'm guessing like, yes, for your skill set and confidence, it's good to have the hard skills, but it's the two combined kind of really make the magic.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the acquisition, I think it was really helpful to understand like what it would mean to be acquired, and even like the change processes through that and why we have to do that. Because now all of a sudden we're part of a publicly traded company. CommonDesk wasn't maybe always doing things exactly, like we didn't know what we were doing, right? When you start a business, you don't really know what you're doing.
Well, and the difference between private and public company is significant. Yeah,
it really is. So I think that was really helpful, and even understanding how we have to adjust and change, and communicating that to our teams to understand, like, here's the rule we have to follow. Here's why we have to follow it. Like, it's not just a rule for a rule. There's actual consequences to these things. And we're part of a publicly traded company, and here's what we're doing now. I think that was really helpful, even for me to understand too.
Right. So I am curious, what is it like to have been acquired? And I mean, obviously,
it's the question everyone asks, so don't worry. That's it is a roller coaster of emotions, I would say. I think I would be lying if I said that like it's just been all, rainbows and butterflies. But that's just because I care so much, right? Like being a part of CommonDesk and having the opportunity to build it alongside
like your baby,
my coworkers.
Right?
And so I think probably everyone says it's like true definition of like bittersweet, where it is so amazing. I feel so grateful that I got the chance to do this. Like, who wouldn't be proud of being able to sell a company and be acquired by like the largest player in the game? Like, I think that's such a testimony to what we built, and I feel so proud of that and so honored that that's like part of the legacy. But when you do that, you're also giving up some parts of you, right? Where there's just other voices in the room, and learning to make room for those voices. I think that has been the hardest thing, of like understanding that like their opinions really matter, and actually they have a lot to say and a lot of good insight that I can learn from. And I just have to make room for that. And I think helping our teams coach them through that, of just because of the way we did something doesn't mean that if we have to do this, that it's wrong. It's just different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But WeWork they've been really wonderful, probably more so than they have to be, like they have given us a lot of freedom. They're so, they bought us for a reason. And I think they've let us really do what we do best. And I'm really grateful for that, because I did study about like mergers and acquisitions in school. And I don't think that is
most of the time they don't work, right? You do all the case studies, and like the end of the story, the moral of the story is like they almost never work.
Yeah, exactly. And, I remember what it was like when WeWork came into Dallas in 2017, right? So like, I think like even within like the local co-working world, like WeWork just felt like this, like the big bad guy. And I think when you actually get to spend time with their teams, and you spend time, I've gone to a lot of their locations in New York, spent time with their community teams, spent time with their members, their leadership team, and they're not actually like that different. Like the reason that they're there, their community teams, they're the same as our community teams. They have a heart for their members. Exactly. But I think it can, the name of WeWork, it can get lost in there, but they really are doing a really good job in providing a wonderful service to their members. And to me, I've learned so much being able to like learn from their teams.
So do you feel it on a day to day, or is it sort of here and there in terms of things you're adjusting to from like a bigger picture?
Yeah. I do not feel it on a day to day, which I'm thankful for. Most days I come into work and it feels like it's felt for like the past 6 years. I'm here with my team. I get to see my people with the people that we hired using our processes. I would say there's a lot more reporting, which actually is
Yeah.
really wonderful. There's so much structure and so much help because we have to report on certain numbers. But I love that. I love that I'm being drawn towards that and that we have these numbers. There was, before we kind of just like, feels like it's been a good year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, great.
Yeah,
But
the
now we
structure,
actually have to,
right,
yeah,
enforce better planning and
yeah,
yeah, making sure everybody's kind of rowing in the right direction.
yep, exactly. So I would say most of the time it feels like it's always felt, and I'm so grateful for that. There's a few times where you're like, oh yeah, we have to do this thing that feels very corporate.
Yeah.
But we were, because they've been so helpful in coaching us to like through that of like how to do this when you have to adopt a very corporate policy that feels maybe like not something our teams are used to.
Yeah.
They've been really, really great.
That's great.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about right now?
Oh, I am really excited for next year. I feel like CommonDesk is just getting our feet under us after 2 years of just
Craziness.
insanity.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone feels that, but
Yes.
like we are growing a lot. We're signing a lot of new locations. We will be opening a lot of new locations next year. And I'm just really excited about the amount of people we'll get to impact, member wise, obviously, but also staff. I can't wait to add more people to our team, to watch people grow, especially our current team, like our senior community managers. They oversee like 2 to 3 locations at a time. And that's the group I think it's the most important. Middle management's like the most important group for you to invest in. And I feel like they're right on the cusp of just something really great. And so I can't wait to watch it. That's what I'm really, really excited for, to watch them learn how to oversee even more locations, to really just grow and develop as leaders. I can't wait to hopefully in a year from now talk about all the ways I saw them grow this year.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good. And I bet you're excited for maybe a little break over the holidays.
Yeah. It's exciting. It is. I think when you love what you do, I feel like I hate to be that person, but I love my job. I really love being here. So oftentimes when we have a break, I'm like, well, I can't wait to get back because I can't see my friends. Like, I miss you guys. So I'm excited to go see family and have a small break. But I can't wait to get back. And I think next year is just going to be really kick ass. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here, but
You
I
can
think
totally
it is
say
going to
that.
be. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm excited that people feel that way because I do think, the last couple of years have been so uncertain that it feels so fuzzy to look at the next year. Like when you're doing planning for the next year, it's like, I don't know,
Right. Totally.
I'm going to, put this on paper, but let's see. And I feel like now people are feeling like the momentum of positive and just
Absolutely.
more clarity so that you can,
Yeah,
see more
absolutely.
clearly
I
and
feel
plan.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Nick and I think what's so nice about having a partner like Nick is I just feel like we're in lockstep and both have like very clear ideas of what we're working on and what we're building and what success looks like for everyone in this company. And I just feel confident we won't be distracted. Like we're going to go out there and get it. And I can't wait.
I love it. Your excitement is infectious.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I know you guys are super busy. Thank you for taking the time to do this and kind of share your
Absolutely.
story and give us a little inside scoop on what's going on at CommonDesk. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. This was fun.